Hello, Aquarium Basics. Today we are talking about lights, DIY myths and facts. So, let's see if I can position this just a little bit higher up. Alright, so below is a very expensive pile of junk, and above is, believe it or not, a lesser expensive, very fine instrument. And so I guess I'll say the brand name. It is a Fluvel 47 watt LED that fits a 36-inch aquarium. So now the thing is that down below is remnants from my first year or two getting started with aquariums. And so the first tube there is a 2-tube T5, and there's two of them, but I don't know if you can see it too well. And they fit only a 24-inch aquarium. But what I did is I put the pieces of wood on the sides, and I was able to hang them both above the 36-inch aquarium. So first of all, myth and fact. So I got the 2T5, but it's not a high output T5, it is a regular T5. And the thing about that is you first say, well, two 12-watt bulbs are equal to one 24-watt bulb. Now, the sad truth is that the 212 was $52. And had I gotten the 112, or 124, it would have been God almost the same, if not more. So, but now what I learned is that if one bulb goes out in one of these, then that means you have to replace that bulb immediately, because both bulbs will not work unless both of them are working. So, I mean, it was like, are you kidding me? I can't just run one tube. So suddenly you're in this thing where, and it was a quick burnout too. I mean, you would think the 12-watt T5 would last a year or two, maybe even, if not more, and just get dimmer. But it burned out on me in like 6 months or something, and it had little cracks in the phosphate, and I'm not just sure if that's possibly where it was getting splashed, but I mean, no water, it should not be hot enough to cause that. It was just cracking. I think it was a low-quality bulb, and then, what's funny is they tell you, oh, well, that doesn't have the spectrum, but reality is you can get that bulb for about $7 at the hardware store, but the pet shop wants to sell you the $20 bulb because that's the one that has a little bit more of a blue in it or something. And there is some truth to that, but, let's just say that one T24 watt is better than two T5s with 12 watts, because the two T5s, well, you're going to have to buy more of them in the end if they end up burning out. So, sorry, I hope you're not getting bored already, but, I'm going to make my point here, which is, as you can see down below, is also two spotlights that I added. I couldn't find them even matching because I bought one, and then not that much later I tried to buy another one and they didn't even have it. So suddenly you've got these two off-brand looking things on the ends, and they're not even safe either. I mean, the goosenecks are slipping and falling, and the clamp is all there is. And the reality is, the setup below, it could A, kill you because you get electrocuted working on it, or B, it could kill all your fish because you electrocuted all your fish, or C, you could possibly even burn the house down, because if it did fall in and get a kind of a thing going, that could potentially cook up your socket even too. So, there's some risks even involved here with some of this lower end lighting. And then also in the mix down there is a little low level LED that kind of came with the tank I had, and it too, I mean, you go to buy these tanks at the store and they say, oh, it comes with an LED. Well, it's coming with a very low wattage, low quality LED. And some of the even $40, $50 LEDs that you see, the ones that'll stick on the back of the tank, they're just like a long tube, they're not bright enough at all to grow plants. And so you're paying $50. So what I want to get at is that the setup below cost me nearly, by the time I bought the LEDs for the little spotlights, and originally I had spirals, but they looked terrible and they stuck out, and that's something I bought too. I bought spirals for them, and then all of a sudden that didn't work out, didn't look that good, so I bought LEDs, and then I bought this little Walmart blue LED that I thought maybe I could stick in the front to make a little more color, because it's just how bad all these fluorescents looked and stuff. And let's face it, fluorescents are mercury laden. They're bad for the environment. In fact, I even have done some research and found that the mercury tubes of all kinds of fluorescents and spirals, they leak mercury gas into the air. So you are actually slowly getting poisoned with mercury if you are around an environment high in these open tube fluorescents. Now, in horticulture and all kinds of places, and I'm one that's been there worse than anybody, is in horticulture especially, people are using these things and they're packing them in. Like, people have, let's say they've got, 30, 40, 50 fluorescent lights in a room, and so they're in that room, and that is really bad. So I just say that I'm against fluorescents to begin with. I really am. And so what is on top is the, let's see here. I don't know, it wouldn't make much sense to bring the camera up to here. Let me do this. What I've got, very extremely bright and colorful. Let's see if I can get that down. There we go. What I have there is and I hate to say brand names because I'm really against a lot of the brands, but this is a Fluvel. It is a 47 watt high output T5 for plants. I mean, you have to, I couldn't even find it at PetSmart. I couldn't find it anywhere. It was one of the local small aquarium shops that happened to have them, and it's the only one that is bright enough to grow plants. All those other LEDs that you see at PetSmart and all those places, they're not good enough, and they cost $150, $175, $250. So, it's a lot of money. And so what I hate to bow down to this because this is like DIY myths and facts and stuff. I'm someone that likes to cut corners. I like to put things together that don't cost as much money. I could see that if you really found some of the really good spotlights, you could have them maybe mounted on the wall and have some, if you had some track lighting maybe mounted above it in a really safe fashion, I could see that working with the higher LED wattages and stuff, but there is nothing like this light. And I mean, yeah, I hate to be a materialist, but I spent less on that light above than I did on all that junk below. I did. I spent like, I don't know, $50, $100 more for what you see below. And, I don't want to adjust the camera here, but, I mean, here, let's go up a little bit. So, as you can see, we got the, and then there you go. You got 1,000,000 cords, too. That's why I wanted to, here, you got this 1,000,000 cords plugged into that. You got your LED spotlight. You got your cheap little aquarium one that came with the aquarium. And then, let's see, where's that little Walmart deal at? Oh, I'm sorry, I hate to move the camera around. And these are them. They're not bad. They're not bad. But, here it is. $16 at Walmart. $16. Can you believe that? That is just outrageous. It just, so I paid more for that stuff and how god-awful ugly it was, and just the chance of one of them falling off, or even if I was working on it and it slipped off that thing I had wired up with it. And then what's really made me go buy this, it was so great, is I was actually moving the table, and I had this idea. I said, well, maybe if the table above, which my TV is on, maybe if the table was scooted over a little bit, it would look better. And as I scooted it, I forgot that the lights were wired to the top of the table. And we're talking almost the entire setup was about to just crash into the tank. It was just hanging sideways, and And it just, by the time I figured out what the hell was going on, and it's like, I didn't even cross my mind. And at that point, I realized that this truly is this is a danger, you know, it really is, this setup that I have. And I thought it was pretty cool, you know, I thought, you know, hey, I pieced all this together, you know, and it had a lot of light. It gave more light to the plants, but also what's interesting is I have this theory that fluorescents feed algae better than the LEDs. I don't know why, but I've had a lot less algae. And what's interesting is because the fluorescents and the LED spotlights and stuff, they kind of penetrate the light in certain areas. And for instance, the plants that are up high, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems as if I have less of an algae problem all of a sudden. So I just don't find that my grasses are getting as bad, and plants are happier with the LED. And I've always known that too, that the plants don't like the fluorescence that much. I mean, yes, they give the plant what they need, but there's something about it. I think it's a karma thing, you know, not to be talking about spiritual stuff, but I think that, like, you know, mercury and what we're doing to the environment is pretty bad. And there is some bad stuff in LEDs. I mean, there's lead and arsenic in some of the LEDs and stuff, but it's far more contained and it's far more safe. And even to mine those, and the main thing is throwing them away. I mean, you know, the fluorescent tubes, that's a myth about T5s also, is that T5s burn out much faster than standard fluorescents because they're high output. So you know, in one sense you're thinking, oh, you know, fluorescents, they last forever, they're so economical. But when you get into the high output ones, they're burning up on you in 6 months, and they're worthless after 6 months, even if they don't burn up on you, because you've burned everything out of them. And so what happens? You throw them away, you know, and one of the worst things that could happen is if you break that mercury bulb, and if it broke into your fish tank, or if it got on your hand or something. I mean, it's highly, highly dangerous. And you know, I'm the son of a dentist. I know that mercury is really bad, and I had some mercury fillings put in me as a kid, and they caused me some serious mental illness, mental problems. Getting the mercury out was the greatest thing I ever did. I've got plastic fillings now. And so that's kind of what this is about too. It's like, you know, you have this lower quality lighting setup that has mercury in it, and just in the end, it's bad for the environment. It's not as cost effective as you would think. It's dangerous. You know, just the LED, I'm usually one to make a video against high-end products. I'm usually the one to say, you know, they're ripping you off, there's no need for that. But I really am making this video because I'm here to tell you that getting that light, you know, it's the thing to do. And it's the thing to do immediately if you want to get a planted tank. I mean, you know, and even not a planted tank, I mean, it's so wonderful. It brightens it up. And actually, when you put it on its blue setting, you can really see that, like, I mean, the blue is there, but you can see the tank still and stuff. It's quite bright. And so anyway, I am a firm believer in LEDs, and this has truly brought me to that level, is in total belief in LEDs, or what's the conviction? That's the word I'm trying to say. You know, and like I said, I'm usually one to be fairly against LEDs or against high-end products that, you know, stores try and sell you. So, you know, yeah, I am here because I want to turn people on to this, that the $150 seems outrageous for a light when you get looking into a planted tank. Oh my God, $150 for a light, you know, and you know, what's your wife gonna think, or what's your mom gonna think, or grandma, or you know, just thinking you're just getting into a money pit, or you're buying into this stuff. But this light really is worth it, and it's also so easy because of its kind of cylindrical shape and stuff. You can really scoot it out of the way to get into the tank. It's very, very simple to have your hands inside the tank, and just, you know, you got your arm down there. I mean, with the other stuff and the fluorescents, it was just a nightmare. I mean, pushing one fluorescent back and one's falling off the back, and I mean, just, you know, and one fluorescent alone ain't enough. I mean, that's why you see two of them there, is that really it ended up needing 4 T5 12 watt 24-inch bulbs to even get that thing nearly lit as what it needed to be. And then I had to add on the two LED spotlights that were just jerry-rigged to add even more. And it still just, the light was not, spaced out. It wasn't equal in all the areas and stuff. So, I am here to say, and I'm reiterating it enough all in this video, but, man, this light is the way to go. It really is. And I don't mean to sound, God, I just hate the sound of that, saying that you should turn around and buy something like this. But if you want to do a planted tank, put it on your priority list. I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to get out here that, but the light, it's unbelievable how much better an LED light really is. All right, thank you, home aquariums. Or sorry, what do I even call it? Aquarium basics. All right, thanks, bye.